Welcome to ANTICS Soccer Closet Edition. I'm here with Coach Ali. Let's get to it.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Thank you for having me, man.
Oh, I'm doing good. Wanted to ask you. So your name is Ali, right? But
Yes.
your first name is Mohamed?
My first name is Mohamed, my middle name is Ali, and my last name is Fofana.
So how come you go by Ali? Or why did your parents name you Mohamed Ali after the man himself?
Well, it's a short story, you know. My dad's best friend's name is Mohamed Ali, so he called him. He decided to name me Mohamed Ali.
No relation to the boxing guy?
I kind of hoped it was the other way around, like I was named after the real Mohamed Ali.
Yeah. Oh, like he was friends with that guy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So Coach, you are from what part of Africa?
I'm from a small country called Guinea, Conakry, a French-speaking country in West Africa.
So you speak French?
Fluently, yes. I write and speak French fluently.
Very cool. So how big was the town you grew up in?
I actually grew up in the capital city, the
Okay.
city of Conakry. So
Oh, sure. Okay.
it's a huge city of approximately 1.5 or 2 million people. So I was born there, but on my first birthday, my dad, who is a pharmacist, was moved to another city, which is in the south of Guinea.
South of Guinea.
Which is a very prolific city too, but not as big as the capital city. So I grew up there until my fifth grade year. Then I came back to where I was born.
Okay, so I see. So, just for reference, what city could you compare that city to in America? Because I have no idea. What?
No, I can't.
None?
It's difficult to compare because of the difference in culture, the difference in economy, difference in demographic of people.
Oh, yeah?
Difference in lot of things.
What's primarily the demographic in Guinea?
I mean, 99.9% are African that look just like me.
I see.
And then you have expatriates from all over the world that are a very small number that work in the country for diplomatic reasons or economic reasons. So, but it's a prolific city that has everything. You know, it's not as diverse as Oakland would be or.
When you say
city.
prolific, what do you mean? I'm not sure.
It's a sprawling moving city. You know,
Okay.
You have
like constantly changing? Or
constantly, not changing in terms of image, but people are always moving in and out.
Okay, I get you.
Because of economic and financial reasons.
What's the primary reason to economically come there? What kind of business corporations is their main industry?
On a local level or on an international level?
Either.
On an international level, Guinea is actually one of the richest countries in Africa in terms of its resources. Okay.
I see.
We got one of the highest iron ore gold deposit in the world, and also have a very sizable deposit of diamonds. And also bauxite, which is the raw material for aluminum. So the country is fairly rich in terms of its natural resources.
I gotcha.
But because of
people trying to exploit that.
Because of political and international influences, those things are not as spread as they're supposed to be. So the country is fairly poor. Most people are poor.
Okay.
Per se,
compared to say. Yeah. So, what do you think is in your experiencing the culture over there and the culture over here? What is the main the main, like some key, like little things that like you see there that you came over here and you're just like, what, why are you not doing that? Like, was there any like details that like really stood out to you?
Wow, you asking what are the differences? Maybe the differences in terms of how things are done here, or the differences on how people. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, let me specify. Like you go to like a restaurant, like courtesy,
right.
Or like just like little, like how like in Europe, like they bring the credit card machine to
right,
you,
right.
and then like here they
right.
like you do it and then go back and forth,
right.
or something like like sports culture as well.
Okay.
Either something like that, like.
Okay, in that sense, I get it. I get what you're saying. Okay, let's just. I'm gonna specify. Let's say I go to a restaurant. Back home is a little bit different in Guinea, or most African countries. Things are a little bit more localized. So you know the people that you go to,
I see.
And therefore,
yeah.
It's like you just go serve yourself, or you get served and you take care of yourself. But then they also have high-end restaurants where you come, they open the door for you. You go sit down and they sit you down. They bring the menu. They have that also available to those who can afford it, right? So with that being said, if you compare sports-wise, if you compare the two, it's a little different also, because the passion given certain sport is completely different. Like soccer, for example, for us here. Soccer is huge in this country because of the money behind it, right? But the passion is not as huge as it is in some of our countries. Soccer is for me, the way I learned soccer. Soccer was something you did. You had to get out and do. Like, you didn't have much to do unless you had a lot, I personally came from a family where everything was okay. My dad was a pharmacist. My mom was a banker. So, I played tennis. I had tennis lessons. So I went to the hotel where the tennis, courts were. So I was able to have tennis clothes and shoes and rackets. So I had the means. My parents had the means to do that for me. But I didn't like tennis. I did like it. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. I did like it. But it was not the thing to do, because not everybody had access to that. So if you wanted to play tennis and be famous, yeah, you could have. But I liked the fact that, soccer was a little bit different. You went into the neighborhood outside your house. People were playing. Kids your age were playing. And the energy and the passion behind it was so much more interesting to me. So, comparing that to the United States, it's not the same. It's just like you take baseball and basketball and football, right? And you compare it to another country that is not culturally a baseball or football. So it's a little bit different. Like for us, soccer, you didn't have to have money to play soccer. You just get up and go play outside. And my parents did not like that, because you had to go to certain neighborhoods. If you really wanted to play good soccer, you had to play against good people that knew how to play very well, and the street kids were the ones that really could play, because this was their pastime. They didn't go to school, they didn't do anything else, they didn't have the means to do anything else, so therefore they went and play soccer every day. So in doing so, they get really, really good at it, right? So for me, I was exposed to it because my dad, while he was a director of a pharmaceutical depot back home, he had the means and he loved the game. So he was supporting the local club of young 18, 19 years old that could play soccer. So he would buy gears for them, cleats, soccer balls and stuff. So I grew up around those people, watching these guys. So that really drove my interest in the game. And I had a nice relationship watching, just hanging around with them, taking their shoes, their cleats off, and taking the balls and putting them in the ball bag. So I developed, a connection with the game in that sense. And that connection got bigger because when I went out and played, it was a different connection, but a more passionate connection on my own that I felt as a player and being part of the guys, And I was a very quick kid, very strong, and I wasn't afraid of anything. I was mostly the smallest because the other guys were a little bit older than me. So, and they always encouraged you. They beat you down physically, and they encouraged you to stand up for yourself. And I already had that in me. I wasn't afraid because I had older brothers and older cousins that always liked to get on me, and I had that. So I had no fear of just knocking somebody, tackling somebody, you know. And it was rough too. It was very rough. And I wish you had videos today. I could show you the war wounds on my legs. You know.
Damn.
So and that's because we play on, most of the time we played on gravel, rocky fields, right? Mm-hmm. And you end up basically cutting yourself alive if you fall on rocks, if you fall on, or you know, clay fields, which were a little bit safer than and I actually love clay field and turf and grass.
So your dad that was giving money to these, what were these like club? What was the equivalent?
They're like we call it prefectural club. It's like local. The city in which you lived had their own local government.
You would go play other.
Yeah, they will go invite players and they will do tryouts.
I see.
And they pick players and usually they don't. And the funny thing is that sometimes the kids that come out to try out are not necessarily the best kids.
Yeah.
So other cities had the very, very good kids that can play. So sometimes you go to draw.
Would they try to recruit the kids that only played street ball and like they were much better, but they just didn't have the money?
That's exactly what I was about to say. Because if you didn't have the team to compete against these other teams that had raw talent, you were just bound to go pick players that grew up playing the street and can play very good soccer and are very tough. So, and since we had that connection in the city already, that was an easy process. And these city kids were looking for opportunities to get out of the city, playing these small-sided games and have access to fields and be able to compete in a prefectural level, which is like nationally you could play against different cities on an 11v11 field.
Okay. So were your parents more like accepting of that rather than you just go into the neighborhood?
Oh, my dad loved it. My dad is a huge soccer fan. Even today I talked to him. He was watching Champions League. Nice. He's a diehard soccer fan, and he loves Brazil. It doesn't matter if Guinea is playing against Brazil, he picks Brazil every time. So he loves good soccer, good, fluid, fun soccer. So I grew up watching him react to games, just watching the game passionately. So, but he never could accept the fact that I was good. See, I was never good enough for him because he never saw it. In his mind, I cannot be that good. How can I be that good? So, but he never saw me grow as a soccer player. He just saw me as a little kid. You go to school, you come back home. Your curfew is this time. So, and I always found a way to slip out and go play and come back. And then he's sitting in front of the gate. I come in, I get my butt canned every day. Until I was 14, I was big enough not to get canned. When I got big, I had the looks, Mess with me, we're going down, buddy.
I get that.
Yeah.
So, let's switch it back to, so when did you move to America?
I moved here in 1994, August 21st to be exact. August 21st.
Okay.
I left Guinea. I arrived in San Francisco International Airport, August 22nd, Saturday, 1994. Yeah.
Okay. What was the purpose behind it?
School.
Okay.
School.
Where'd you go?
I was doing pretty well. High school, everything. High school. I did my first year of college, University of Conakry, and I came here, didn't speak a word of English in 1994. So I had to go to school to learn English as a second language. So my uncle actually is a teacher at San Francisco State, Dr. Yansani, who's a professor of economics at San Francisco State, lived here. So I was actually not coming here. I was planning to go to Canada, Montreal. I was admitted to one of the best business schools in Canada.
Interesting.
Called I forget the name. HEC, Haute Études Commerciales. It's like a business school in Canada.
Are they French?
Yes.
That sounds
in
French.
the French part of Canada.
I see.
In Montreal. So, but my uncle was on vacation because my uncle worked for the OAU. OAU is the African, is an organization of African unity. It's like a huge organization, membership of United Nations. My uncle worked for them. He was in Guinea for a 2-day visit. He was coming from Ethiopia from meeting, so he stopped to say hello to family. So I was preparing my paperwork, and he saw the paperwork, and he was there with my dad. He's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he's going to Montreal. He's been admitted, and I'm preparing."
How does that immigration process work? Because like I know it's not like
you apply for the school, and the school.
And is it like essentially like a
It's the same as here. Canada does the same exact thing. So you apply, you fill out the paperwork, they get it, they review it, they send information back to you for stuff to reply with, and that's grades and all your grades from high school all the way to your first year. But you have to do a first year first in your country before you can come.
I see.
So they received all that, and the process is basically the same. University process is the same because we have the French system in Guinea. So. It was automatic. It was approved, and my dad had the means to pay for school, so it was automatic. I was admitted, and I was ready to go. My uncle said, "Hey, why do you want him to go to Canada? I think it could be better for him to come to California, learn a different language, and I'm there. I'm a teacher. I'm a professor. I could try to see if I can get him into the program." So he said, well, as soon as I get to Berkeley, he lived in Berkeley. I'll send you the paperwork for the school I'm talking about, which is UC Berkeley. So he sent the paperwork, and I went ahead and applied. And the first thing they wanted me to do is to provide a TOEFL. TOEFL is like an English proficiency test that you have to do. And I was not proficient in English.
Yeah.
So the next option was, you come into Cal, we'll put you into an English intensive program to prepare you for the TOEFL, and then you get into the program. So that's what I did. I got here in '94, August 22nd, Sunday, Monday I was at Cal, at the ELP program. It's called English Language Program. That program does not exist anymore. They canceled it.
Why do you think they canceled it?
It was connected to a lot of international people coming through that program and never went back. So they kind of canceled it, and they weren't having enough students to come into the program anymore. So I went there for about 6 months and passed my TOEFL, and I decided, instead of staying at Cal, I'm going to go to USF, University of San Francisco.
That's where I want to go.
Very good school, small, very nice. At the moment, USF had the best soccer program around. And a friend of mine convinced me, and then my uncle's like, yeah, we can try to go. So I did a walk-on. I left. I didn't leave Cal yet, but I didn't apply for the program right away to continue. So I went there and tried on and made the team, but they didn't have scholarships for me. So I went to school for a year or two, and they still didn't want to give me a scholarship, though. I was clearly one of the best players. So you did
6 months at Berkeley.
Yes.
And then you did 2 years at USF.
Yes.
And you did a year in Guinea.
Yeah. I was basically done. In Guinea, I did first year. So basically I had 4 years already done. But the thing is, you got to finish your degree and get it, right? So
what were you getting a degree
in? In business administration.
Okay.
So then I decided I'm going to change business to economics, because
I see.
That's what I basically was preparing for. And I did that. So
you were talk about where they wouldn't give you scholarships.
Yeah, they didn't want to give me scholarships, and I didn't like that at all, because clearly I was the best player on the team.
Yeah.
They had some kids that love to run and just want to do crazy stuff, nothing soccer. And I was a kid coming from Africa with a lot of skills and no fear. Though I know I wasn't like the fittest in terms of, because I never trained with when I was at Cal, I wasn't training with a team.
Yeah.
I was just doing my own training on the side, and I would go play tournament with different teams that saw me play, and they like, man, we want you to come play with us. So I traveled around the country a little bit, especially around here.
Oh, yeah.
I went to San Diego. There was a huge tournament there. We went to the final and lost.
Is that Surf Cup?
I think it was a surf for the adults. It was like
I see.
all the team came from all over the U.S.
Damn.
And we played the defending champion, and we should have won, but we didn't. So we lost 1-0 to the champ. But I had fun. It was a beautiful experience, meeting different people.
And that was just impromptu, just teams that you would just go in and out of.
Yeah, teams that would come up to me and be like, "Oh, we saw you play, man. And what's your name? Where you from, man? What club you playing for?" People thought I was playing for MLS. I'm like, nah, MLS is crap. And they're like, "Why are you not trying?" I'm like, I'm not here for that.
So what was your training on the side? Was it just like you just go in and just
go run, go play, go do my own little thing?
Would you find like pick up people to play with?
All the time.
Nice.
We had it when I was at ELP.
That's the life right there.
We had IM games, like intramurals at Cal.
I see. Okay.
And Cal had a very good intramural system. You know, some garbage teams, but you had the players that played on Cal team, first boys team, make their own team. You have 2-3 teams from that team. They come out and play. You know, you had kids from like Santa Clara, from all over, you know, different universities. It's the summer. They come out. In the winter, when they have the break, they come out and play. And we had an international team, people from Brazil, Argentina, Germany. And we had a nice little group that knew how to play soccer very well. And it was shocking. We had every piece there. We had goalkeepers, real goalkeepers that were trained to be goalkeepers. And they were out here to, you know, get the English right and go back and work or go back to school, whatever they wanted to do. So it was interesting.
Very
interesting. Yeah.
So when you were going through it, did you have a job you were doing?
Yeah, I worked for a civil engineering firm in Alameda for about 10 years.
I see.
I was a drafter and a business salesperson. So. And by the way, the drafter part, I learned it on the job. So
what is a drafter?
A drafter is a technical drawer. So you basically draw plans.
Like
we would
power
work
plants?
No, fiber optic plans. Fiber optic is the reason why you have all these fancy phones now. And
fiber optics.
Yeah.
What's that?
Okay, fiber optic is the lines they use to have these fast speed of light.
Is it like the blueprints
it's
for
the
like
cables.
for like motherboards and
no,
stuff?
it's
or
the
like...
cables that are underground that allow all this connectivity.
Oh.
So all around the Bay Area, there's fiber optic lines under the ground.
I see.
Right, and it starts from the South Bay, right? San Jose, Santa Clara area comes in the big loop all the way into San Francisco and go back around. It's called the South Bay East Bay Ring. So once that system is set up, then they will splice it out into antennas are erected, you know, buildings are erected with servers, with splice boxes to allow all this stuff. Now we started that.
Damn, that's super
I
cool.
work for a company called Civtel. It's a civil engineering company that did all the fiber connections. We did the planning, the plans. We did the research. We do the surveys, and then we do the plans. And then we had a company that built the plan. So we put the fiber into the ground. Yeah, we did that for years.
And then after 10 years, you were just like...
I got tired of it. I'm not
see this.
Yeah,
not an office person.
I was always critical of sitting in an office anyways, because I grew up watching my dad. I was always next to my dad, around my dad. I thought it was super boring. I thought it was too repetitive. I thought it was too restraining. So I was always the type that let my mind go, and I like new things, even though I'm very like private and repetitive in what I do, because we do the same things all the time. So therefore, I like my mind to be a little bit freer. So I just, you know, I took my time off from 2000 to 2002. I just took a break, no work, nothing. I just relaxed, you know. And a friend of mine kept approaching me. Yeah, I took a break.
Like how? Like then you have to like pay bills and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I saved. I was saving for years. So my son was born when I was working for that company. My son was born. He was born in '98. So I put money away. Of course, I could,
So you just
and and I decided I'm done working, in offices and just sitting around and doing the same thing and waiting for deadlines and got to respond to this and that. So, the sport I loved the most, I was always involved in it when I was doing that job, because every summer, I got friends that worked for different clubs and had their own camps. They would beg me to come out and I would go help them with their camps, and I was pretty good at it with little kids and be able to make them listen and have fun and just love the game. So I knew that I had that. I was doing that back home too. So he just kept begging me, man. Like, dude, come on, you a great coach already. You should. I'm like, nah, I'm not ready. And he kept coming at me, and he's the technical director for La Morinda Soccer Club.
Okay.
So finally, I accepted and started coaching at La Morinda. So I ended up coaching at La Morinda for 10 years. I helped build that club from the ground up.
Wow. Did you ever have a particular experience with like a kid where you really like got through them and influenced this passion for
every
training?
team that I've got, I've somehow figured out that it's not just about the game. Like I tell you guys, it's real. It's about the person. See, it's about connecting with the person. And I've always known that as a person, and I knew that was the key. If you can connect with the person, then you get to know the person, then you know their strengths and weaknesses and what they're capable of doing or not. So therefore you work with that. It's not a trick. It's just being able to acknowledge what you have in your hand. And therefore, if you got a brick and you try to break the brick into a brick or into small pieces, whichever you want. If you have a piece of steel, you can't break it. You have to either cut it or burn it to melt it, or you're going to hurt yourself. So for me, it was always a way of finding to get through to the person, and then get to teaching them the game. And I knew how the game is played technically on the basic level. And then I had a program that knew how to do that, how to convey that, how to break it down on a smaller level to be able to teach the kids to play. So, and I did that for years. And every team I touched just went right through the roof every year. We sent players to nationals. We sent players to D1 colleges. We sent some boys to the MLS. Some of them are playing the MLS right now. Some of them are doing pretty well. They graduated and they're doing pretty well. So
that's sweet.
Yeah.
When you look at your experience coming to America, how do you feel that you have kept certain traditions and parts from how do you pronounce it's Guinea what?
It's a French country, a West African country. So I see what you're saying.